Hi there, I'm Al-Pha-X and we're in my studio today, but more importantly this is where Slow Down was created, conceived and again performed and recorded. Well, at least 85% of it. Some of the music, some of the vocal performances for example, were done in other studios. So anyway, look at the gear. The gear is very simple here. We have a Mac computer, which is basically where most of the work goes on. You know, we mix inside the Mac. We've got, you know, we use all the plugins that come with Logic. Plus, we use a little TC, electronic material, plugins, etc. Event speakers. Everything goes through the Mindprint. Essentially, everything goes through sort of a tube preamp. It's also got a compressor and EQ. That sort of gives everything a nice little quality. And occasionally I use a bit of outboard. The only thing I've actually kept out of my outboard, because everything is done now internally in the computer, is my stereo vitalizer, which I sometimes use on tracks. I wouldn't use it on a complete song, you know, but I would definitely use it on a, you know, maybe to colorate maybe a really interesting synthesizer texture, or maybe some acoustic sounds that sound a little bit dull. And then finally, I've on the outside, not using the internal, I use the Chaos pad, which is always good fun, using, you know, and being able to sort of play with effects in real time, etc. It's always good fun. And mixing can be done and automated on the Behringer with the motorised faders. And I really, if I'm honest with you, I mix mostly with the mouse. But I find with certain things that need to come in and out within the journey of a mix, if you like, especially vocals, it's just so much handier to have a fader you can move up and down. So occasionally I'm using that, but use it essentially for those roles, or for a lead instrument, or for when balances between instruments change depending on who's playing the main melody, etc. We've also got a patch bay here. The mixing desk essentially is kind of inconsequential really, because what that provides is monitoring and summing. It doesn't really do much else. Nothing goes through it that goes through the computer. It literally either goes through the Mindprint. We've also got a pod which was used for guitar processing. We've got DI boxes which I put my basses in, etc. That's it about this really. That's all that's here. We also do have, which you can't see, it's pretty out of camera shot, it's an SBD20, which I will be demonstrating a bit later, because show you gives you quite a nice feel to some of the tracks, doing some live playing over the top. Even if you are triggering samples, etc., it still sounds really nice to have that sort of laid back human feel with things. And then we've got guitars, bass, and then we've got a piano in the. There's another building which is basically part of the house, and in one of the rooms in the house has got a piano in there, which was used on some of the recordings as well. We've also got some other instruments, a bouzouki, and a thing called a sing, which is a Thai instrument, Thai string instrument. So, and a ping. So again, some of those were used. And some of the recordings and sort of Slow Down. And of course we had a great variety of fantastic singers on there. We had Cecilia Sylvan, and Cecilia Sylvan you would have known of before as Cecilia Lapopau, who sung on the Plea for Sanity album. She sang on a track called Factory Girl. She sings the track Blue Love. And then we have Eugenie Aerosmith, who's the woman whose album I'd worked on, and also because I really liked her voice, she performed 2 songs on the album. Eva Abraham did again 2 songs from her, one of them which we composed in fact in the piano room. We didn't actually use that piano sound in here, we used something inside the computer. Moses is singing 2 tracks on it as well, which are great. And with Moses we actually recorded some of his vocals, well, in fact the majority of his vocals were recorded in his own studio with his own microphone, etc. And then we took that here and then mixed and finished the track here. With Eva's, we similarly, one of the tracks she'd already previously recorded anyway, because essentially it started off as a remix and then turned into a complete reworking, and hence why we incorporated it into the album. And we recorded she recorded some somewhere else, and you know, and we brought that here. And one of the other tracks that we worked on, These Are the Days, that was That was recorded and mixed and produced and created essentially here, all of it. And then Diana Johnson, who sung on Fragile, which is a lovely track. Very intimate, lovely recording. I was very pleased with that, if I'm really honest, as a recording, because it didn't have very much padding. It was a very simplistic piece, but it had a real atmosphere about it, and it was all recorded in here, in this room. So I'm very excited about the album, and very excited, about the process really as well. That it was essentially a very kind of laid back process. And with not much really, as you can see here. We've got a good microphone, a nice preamp, but everything went through that, and essentially everything was done inside the computer. We used a lot of software instruments, and it was a really nice way of working. And I've started other projects now, and you build familiarity and a way of working, don't you, in a certain environment. We also have in here a couple of decks and a DJ mixer, which is quite handy for bringing things in. We also have the keyboard, which you can't see, which is out of shot, and it actually won't be in shot because it's somewhere else at the moment. It's actually in the move process, which is an 88 note fully weighted keyboard for playing in parts and stuff, piano parts and Rhodes parts. And then this keyboard, which is great, which I use for all the synth parts and string parts. And that's about it really. This is it.